Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Tuesday, July 9th in the year 2002. City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Or as close to it as possible. And meetings are open to the public. We invite residents of the city to attend and participate in council meetings. We can also be viewed live from home on your cable station, Channel 35. We can be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bernson, Galanter, Garcetti, Gruel, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Piskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley, Thomas, Weisstein, Padilla, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. This being Tuesday and the first meeting of the week, we do have the tradition of having a special guest join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of inspiration. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Piskowski for an introduction.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce someone from the Valley who is going to lead us today, first in the Pledge of Allegiance and then in our moment of inspiration. Someone who's not a stranger to many of us, Mr. Blinky Rodriguez. I'd like to invite Blinky forward and to lead us first in the Pledge and then a moment of inspiration.
Will everybody please stand with me? Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I really want to thank you all, if you can please be seated, for the opportunity, and really it truly is a privilege and an honor to be asked. Thank you, Cindy, for asking me to come and try to inspire, provoke this council. And as I've been giving thought to this time of opportunity to come and speak, and to many of you that I've had the brief introductions with, and also the opportunity to know through the years, I've often thought, of how your lives transpire day in and day out with all the complexities of issues, and how you navigate the waters of the issues and the complexities of this city with, talks about secession, so many issues that are on the table. And you as the wise man of the city, the wise woman of the city that have been appointed here really by God, because the Bible says that anyone that's in a high position has been appointed. And so in your appointments, and I'm sure the awesome responsibility that you have on your shoulders, that you have on your backs, to your constituents, but then to the entire city of LA. And how many times, sometimes I like, there was the one movie that said that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I like to say that life is like a battery. It's got a positive pole and it's got a negative pole. But it creates energy. And today, my inspiration to you, and I compel you as the wise man and the wise woman of this city who has been really bestowed with that privilege, as you've given your lives to community service. And in all reality, for many of us that are involved with community service, and for those of you that sit here and come out week in and week out on Channel 35, and truly, you're glorified servants of the community. Glorified servants in a position of prestige, in a position where people aspire to be you, and where young people look to you for guidance and for you to make the right decision for your districts. And as I look at some of the fragmentation that exists within the great city of LA, and even as a year and a half ago, as I began to gain favor with a particular group of pastors, because let me tell you something, that even within clergy, even within ministries, even within denominations, there's fragmentation and there's division. And as God allowed me to convene these pastors and beginning to bring them together where they were becoming more transparent with one another. And I can remember one pastor telling another pastor, Pastor, I have to ask your forgiveness because I thought some real bad things about you. But there's this thing, this synergy that's happening even within the faith-based community where individuals that are in position of authority are coming together. And as I look at this horseshoe, and I look up on top to you, Alex Padilla, knowing where you came from, and those of you that are here, the responsibility that's been laid on you, it's awesome. And with the negativity on the battery, how do you be the positive pull on the battery that's going to create the right energy at the right time in the right season to allow this city to navigate itself through some very, very tenuous times, because those are the times that we're living in. Yesteryear is yesteryear. The challenges of our youth that many of you, do your best to help with, and youth programs, and what's happening in today's music, and the message where at one time it was a meta message, it was a subliminal message, and now we got messages coming directly at this community into millions of living rooms where it influences and shapes the characters of many young people. So today, if I was to have a prayer or a wish for each and every one of you, that when you go home and you're trying to unwind through the day because of all the I's you have to dot and all the T's you have to cross. And my God, you can't even think of Friday because you got to be so focused on today. My dream for you, my wish for you is that God would replenish your hearts and your wells of desire, that they would run deep, that your desire to do your job to the fullest would run deep. The mind's a wonderful thing. Intellect's a wonderful thing. I believe that it has to trickle down 12 inches to the heart. Because when you got the mind and the heart involved, you won't run out of gas. So please, in the midst of all the negativity, focus on something positive. Be the perennial optimist. Be a realist, but be an optimist. Because this city depends on each and every one of you. You guys are our hope. You guys are our inspiration. And I know that not everybody here sees eye to eye on every issue, and there's internal dynamics that go on. But what's the greater good? I want to close with this. I was challenged in my life. I was challenged in this area of what's the greater good. When God challenged me and my wife to forgive the 3 young men that murdered my son in a drive-by shooting, was the greatest challenge of my life. There's no other challenge for those of us that have children and grandchildren. That's what we live for. That's what we aspire for. That's what we work for, to give them something better. But when we were challenged and we came together, her and I, of one mind and one accord, and we were able to forgive, it truly created reconciliation within our lives, that we could be a force in our communities. So with all the indifferences that are here today, aspire for reconciliation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Gruhl moves, Ms. Misikowski seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Reyes moves, and Mr. Labange seconds.
Before starting the regular agenda, item number 1, there's a request to continue that matter until July 23rd. Applicant consents to continuance and concurred in by the council districts.
Members request to continue item number 1 for 2 weeks without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President, item number 19 is a commission appointment. It's the appointment of Juanita Tate to the Environmental Affairs Commission. It's communication from the Mayor and Environmental Quality Waste Management Committee. Waive consideration of this matter.
Is Ms. Tate with us today? If not, oh, there she is. As she's coming forward, would you come up here and have a seat? Members, we have a confirmation of a commission nominee before us now. I do not have requests from members of the public to be heard on this item, so we shall deem the public hearing open and closed. Members wishing to speak, beginning with Mr. Reyes.
President, good morning, colleagues. Just rise to support Juanita Tate in this commission. I think it's important that we have individuals like Juanita, Ms. Tate, on this commission. I applaud the mayor on this election. And the main reason being that we need stronger voices in commissions like Environmental Affairs. When you look at the neighborhoods along the freeways, when you look at the incidence of respiratory diseases, when you look at contamination of our industrial lands, when you look at the neglect we have demonstrated to our river, we need to understand how it is we can bring together these resources and the insights that reflect the people who live in these corridors. And so we need a stronger voice there, and we need a stronger sense of diversity in terms of what is happening there day to day and the opportunities we're overlooking. And so I'm hoping that with your presence there, that voice will rise, that articulation will occur, and we'll look at the priorities in a different light. Environmental affairs is not just about how we affect issues in the mountains or just in the beaches, but we do affect those areas if we can treat the water before it gets to the ocean. And in treating the water, we can treat the neighborhoods as well. So with that, I thank you for all your good work. Your advocacy has been, for many years, directed towards the issues of greatest need and for communities of greatest need. So thank you for that. And hopefully the mayor can see himself appointing a more diverse body in these commissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Next, the chair recognizes Ms. Perry, followed by Mr. Zine, Ms. Gruhl, Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Brinson, and Mr. Pacheco. Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As one of the originators of Concerned Citizens of South Central Los Angeles, premised on the fight against an incinerator for cleaner air for the people of South Los Angeles, I'm very pleased to support your nomination today. Ms. Tate is a fearless advocate on behalf of not just her community, but all communities suffering from a lack of environmental awareness. I'm looking forward to working with you through environmental affairs because you also have a vision of taking areas that are built out, areas that have contaminated land, and teaching all of us how to fund it, clean it, and then provide an economic development opportunity so that we can keep reinvigorating and reestablishing our communities. And I think you'll set an example that we should all follow. So I'm very pleased today to see you here today.
Thank you,
and I'm
Councilwoman.
going to support you.
Thank you.
She better, right? Mr. Zine.
Morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Ms. Tate, good morning. Your previous experience, I think you did some other noble work for the city. Can you explain that for a moment, please?
Well, I imagine you're talking about the redistricting commission.
Exactly. Your painstaking task, your labor of love.
It's about the city, though. It's about the people.
I know you're very committed to that, and the hours that you put in and the effort that you put in along with your fellow commissioners to bring that about, to have this body pass that, and your love for the city. I know you'll be appointed from the 9th District. You reside in the 9th District. But please do me a favor and remember us out in the adjacent part, that beautiful San Fernando Valley, where we have some great issues and concerns. And I hope that you'll take that in consideration. I will definitely support you. And one thing I must say about you is every time you see someone, you got a big smile and a hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I do appreciate that.
I commit to that to you.
Good wishes to you. Thank you.
Ms. Gruhl.
I'm pleased to maybe be called one of Juanita's daughters. She taught me a lot through the years, and it's a pleasure for me to stand up today and support your appointment to the Environmental Affairs Commission and how important it is, your experience, I think as Mr. Zine said, not only in South Central but across this city. We look forward to that participation and that we need more people like you that are going to give more of your time. I don't know where you're going to fit this all in relative to your other commitments in the community for housing and environmental issues, but I just want to stand up in strong support for Juanita Tate and look forward to more of your time and energy with the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in strong support of Ms. Tate. I think that this is important, too, to bring the perspective that you have to environmental affairs in general, and understanding environmental justice issues, whether it be the distribution of parks in the city, the impact of clean or unclean water and air. A couple of things that I would just note that I would hope you might turn your attention to with the Commission. One is the issue of electronic waste, e-waste. We have about, in California, something like 4 million in this next year computer monitors that are going to be discarded. They're prohibited from going into our landfills right now, and yet the City of Los Angeles hasn't done enough. We've piloted some programs to recycle them, but obviously a lot of that recycling means shipping it off to China where people, take it apart at their peril. But if we can be a leader in that area of showing how to recycle our cell phones and our refrigerators and our computers and TVs, I think that would be a great legacy. So just wanted to give you that as a heads up, but I'm in very strong support.
Thank you so much, Council.
Mr. Burnson.
Yes, it's a familiar face. Through the years that I've been here, Juanita has been fighting for her community in so many ways that I think most of you don't even understand. She fought for environmental justice before anybody even coined the phrase or knew what it was. So I'm very pleased to see you nominated for this position, Juanita. I know you're going to do a great job for the city.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. President and colleagues, I just wanted to commend Juanita Tate for volunteering for this position. I appreciate the fact that she's with concerned citizens of South Central, because I know for a fact that we need an inner city perspective on a lot of these environmental quality issues, and I know you'll bring that to the table. Just like Mr. Garcetti was raising the issue of electronic recycling, I do want to give you a heads up that we are trying to address that concern in our district by opening one up on Washington Boulevard, where we have, it's called the Safe Recycling Center for solvents, automobile, products, the oils and different things that come from automobile, also flammable items, the varnishes, the thinners, the paint thinners, and all those things that are flammable, and the E stands for electronic parts. So I will tell you that that is something that we are trying to address in our part of town, and would love your support on that. And also, one of the big issues that the Boyle Heights community is talking about is the issue of environmental justice with traffic flow and emissions. We dealt with diesels on one of our freeway entrances, and we blocked diesels from coming in. And now we're looking at the flow of automobiles from downtown through the Boyle Heights community and into all those freeway on-ramps. So I just want to give you a heads up. That's one of our big issues coming up that you'll be confronting. Thank you.
Mr. Labange.
Mr. President, members of council, Juanita, congratulations. Thank you for your continued service. And as Councilmember Zion spoke about your past, most recent service as a commissioner redistricting, it gives you a great understanding of the whole city. And some of us have spoken about the river, like Councilmember Ed Reyes, and the beauty of the river, and our history comes from the river. There's a lot of challenges. 58% of Los Angeles is recycling in our homes and our waste. I want not just bad news, but good news. I want to encourage the people of Los Angeles that they are partners in us in cleaning up the environment. We live here, a diverse community of almost 4 million people, and let us know when we're doing right, and let us know when we're doing wrong. And you have a great general manager there who is leading the way for you, so that team is going to work together, and I just appreciate your service to all of Los Angeles, and encouraging people to be concerned about their community. And when they know what's good is happening, then they know they're part of the solution. Because we could read the paper every day and see how bad it is. What do we do with the 4 million? How many million computers, Eric? Eric, how many million computers have to recycle? 4 million? Okay, that could seem overwhelming. We got to show people we're doing the right thing and how we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. The members wishing to be recognized? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on the confirmation of Ms. Tate. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations, you're confirmed.
Thank you. I would just like to say to the council members, I really appreciate your support and your confidence. I'll be here for you at all times. And one thing that I think is very important in this city, along with, we realize that our environment is more than chemical, it's jobs, it's education, it's housing, it's transportation, it's water. And one of the things that I've spoke with the general manager. She had a very gracious meeting with me, and I'm very happy to do that. Many of you know that young people are very, very important in my life and important in the things we do. And if we don't raise them now, they'll never know. So one of the things I'm going to be recommending to the commission and asking each council person to find some young person in your district that you would like to be educated and involved in the environmental justice movements and the things that are important. And I think if we can start in each council district getting a group of young people to also come aboard to be a part of the environmental issues and understanding how important that is, will be very important to us. And I'm here and I commit to the support to all of you. Thank you very much for your confidence in me. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for serving the city.
I thought I got 13 eyes.
Ron?
I think I'm...
Ron,
The vote has been taken on this matter.
forthwith on that, please. Mr. Clerk, next item.
Mr. President, item number 30, a request from Council District 7 to continue that matter 1 week until July 16th.
Members request to continue item number 30 for 1 week. That would be July 16th, the new date of consideration. Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. President, items numbers 2 through 18 on the regular agenda are items for which public hearings have been held.
Numbers 2 through 18 now before us. Public hearings having been held, a motion would be required to reopen public hearings on these items. Members wishing to call any specials. Mr. Reyes.
Please.
Item 15, call special by Mr. Reyes. Any other specials? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on the balance of the items. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those items are approved. Next item, please. Forthwith on 14. Next item.
Items numbers 20 through 32 are items for which public hearings have not been held. There is an amended motion that has been circulated on 27D.
27D, I believe, technical in nature, so we shall consider that item as amended. We do have cards in item 23. We'll call that special. Do not have requests from members of the public to be heard on other items. Actually, we just received a card on item 29. Let's call that special. We shall deem the public hearings open and closed on the balance of the items. Members wishing to call any specials? Any other specials? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Excuse me. 24, forthwith, please. And 26. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings you back to item number 8, called special.
Okay, before we begin with special items, I'd like to recognize Mr. Labange for a special introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. As you know, I'm president of Sister Cities Los Angeles. We have many great sister cities that surround our great world, and we have special greetings here and a special guest here. Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas is going to join me from Busan and to discuss Busan, Korea. For those of you who missed 11th grade geography, Dennis Zine, I saw that smile. But we have to welcome our special business partner from our sister city of Busan. Dr. So and Ms. Han are here, along with Take On Han, who's here. But Larry Cosmont is going to give us a little briefing about this great delegation that's here and what we're working on between Los Angeles and Busan, which makes the world better, smaller, more efficient, and more businesslike.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilman, Mr. President, and members of the Chamber. So pleased today as one of your citizens and as one of your businessmen to be able to introduce to you what I think is the first in a series of international partnerships that flows from our Sister City program. You know that Busan, South Korea, is a city of 4 million people that sits on the water in South Korea. It's a beautiful city. I was just there 2 months ago. It has 4 million people in a trade area of 10 million. So in a lot of ways, it's like our great city. And it's a sister city to Los Angeles. And in South Korea, something very important has happened. In the last 2 years, they passed a law which allows American businesses such as the Cosmont companies to invest and own property in Korea, and vice versa. For the first time in history, Koreans can take unlimited amounts of money from Korea to invest in our shores. So really, I introduced to you today some very important officials from the city of Busan who are here not only to do business with the Cosmont companies and our team. We're looking at 1,500 acres on the water, but to open up a series of possibilities and exchanges with the city of Los Angeles. And I know that Mr. Huang, who is the business manager of a city of 4 million people in charge of planning and zoning and development, would want to welcome you and say hello. So I want to introduce my good friend, Mr. Huang.
Ladies and gentlemen, How do you do? Mr. Tom Lavenge and Larry Cosmond introduced me to you. I'm working in Busan City as Director General of Urban Planning Department in South Korea. I know Los Angeles City and Busan City relationship have continued a very long time as brother and sister. I hope this relationship is preserved by us. I am very happy to be here. Thank you very much for your warm welcome. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I just want to make sure I introduce Ms. Han from Busan City and Dr. So, our special advisor on tourism and foreign investment from Busan City. This is the team that's here to look at us and really create this friendship. I also want to thank Councilmember Labange and Mark Ridley Thomas for being up here and being so gracious and welcoming us. We have a very busy week planned for these folks. They'll be very tired, but very happy when they leave Los Angeles.
Larry, before you step away, Elga Sharp, the Chief of Protocol for Mayor Han in the City of Los Angeles. Would you please come up? We have a special greeting from the mayor. And the great thing about Busan and Los Angeles is what two great cities are, is the matching population is our ports. The great Port of Los Angeles in the 15th District, Port of Long Beach as well, and all that relationship is so important, how it moves products and goods. And this is such good news, Larry, about the relationship. Elga, for a few words of greeting on behalf of the mayor.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Mayor Han and the City of Los Angeles, we would like to say welcome to Los Angeles, and please ensure you stay here with us. Thank you very much.
And to make it official, Mark, will you join me in this presentation here for Do Choi, Hanyao Oseo Chingu, and also for all our friends in Busan, Korea, Ms. Han, with a special welcome. And also for Tae-Kon Wan, okay? Congratulations, welcome to the City of Angels, Busan, Los Angeles, Sisters and Brothers Partnership. Kamsahamnida.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much.
The chair would also like to recognize Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President, colleagues. I just rise to congratulate Mr. Cosmont and the team here. In District 1, I want to share with you, we probably have some of the largest Korean churches, congregations in the Lincoln Heights near Chinatown area. I've also had the privilege of working with the Korean community after the civil unrest and throughout these past 10 years, and watching the days of dialogue that Councilmember Thomas has been very demonstrating his leadership and how we can connect as communities. I know for one thing, I know that when it comes to the color green, there are no boundaries. The fact is, as communities as diverse as we are, we have many riches. So with the churches that we have in our communities, with their abilities to bring people together, I am very proud that we can have this kind of working relationship. I look forward to how we can continue our abilities to improve our communities working as one. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Rudy Thomas, Mr. Labange. Mr. Clerk, first order of business, please. Next item.
Item number 15, called special by Councilmember Reyes.
Mr. Reyes, item 15.
Thank you, Council President. I rise to point out that in this report, the city charter and what it intended to do in creating APCs is quite frankly working. We've been able to show through these APCs that we have created opportunities for public involvement. We have seen a greater level of input by local communities, and we have enhanced our abilities to look at how we are impacting our local neighborhoods through land use decisions. So I just wanted to point this out. I didn't want this report to kind of fade away without acknowledging the fact that we are working as one city, that as one city we have been able to promote these kinds of activities, these functions that deal with community input in critical land use decisions that affect our neighborhoods on a day-to-day basis. So with that, I just wanted to rise to point these issues out and let the community and everyone listening that the APCs are working and that we need to give it a chance so we can continue evolving as one city. Thank you.
Ms. Hahn.
President, I certainly am satisfied with how our area planning commissions are working. It's really one of the things that we on the Charter Reform Commission felt very strongly about. We had heard that most of our constituents, most people in neighborhoods, never could make it downtown to testify in front of the Planning Commission because it usually met in the middle of a day and sometimes in an obscure room. So this was something we felt would be really important to neighborhoods in terms of land use issues. The only issue I would bring up at this point, while I realize they are working effectively, I would still like to see area planning commissions have a more formal way to take input from neighborhood councils. And while ultimately, before the city council votes on issues, we will have notified our neighborhood councils, I would hope that area planning commissions would be working to strengthen the ties between their neighborhood councils and to actively solicit input before they vote on a local planning issue.
Other members wishing to be recognized? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, I believe we're ready for a vote. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next
Item
item,
number 23, called special, and as much as a member of the public wishes to be heard.
Item number 23 now before us. Council calls forward at this time Melrose Larry Green, to be followed by Ms. Sylvia Hawkins.
Good morning, everybody. I rise to support item number 23, which is related to the Metropolitan Transportation Agency and transferring some money, some funds, and it's a long agenda, but I want to show you all something. Get the camera on this. This is somebody sent me this in my unsuccessful campaign against Tom LaBonge last year. This is a map of the red cars of all of Los Angeles. I know Ed Reyes, I'm going to send you one of these. This is unbelievable. There used to be 1,000 miles of railroads in the greater LA area. You can go all the way from Mount Lowe to Colton to San Bernardino. And this is a small amount of money. It's about $300,000 you're talking about. But it's a step in the right direction. There's sort of a myth when you move to Los Angeles, you know, you got to have a car. Well, I think we ought to change that. I think the more rails we build, the better. If we could bring back all the red cars, I'd like it. But I think the people on Sherman Way and Sepulveda and many other areas might not like that. But this is a great thing, item 23, and I support it. And I'm looking forward to the Gold Line. I rode the Red Line this morning from Wilton and Western, and I'm going to take the Metro Link to Chatsworth after this. So you don't always need a car in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Ms. Hawkins?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ms. Hawkins from District Number 8. And on Metro, MTA, and DOT Transportation concerning working together for the Southwest area in District Number 8, I'm very concerned about the cost of the transportation for the disabled and the monthly cost for monthly bus pass. Also concerning Metro Rail traveling distance going southwest to downtown area, like from southwest to the area of the Staples Center. There is no transportation which dealing with Metro Rail that is coming from southwest area to the Staples Center. We're very concerned about our travel in case a war begun and then we do not have transportation. As of cars, in case our gas station closed down. Also, the behavior of drivers that are on drugs but need special care during working. I was in an incident where the bus driver was hollering at the one that was coming onto the bus, but the bus driver was wrong because of her behavior and how she was saying that the passenger was wrong. we have to remember that the passenger pays the bus pass. The passenger is 90% of the bus driver check. Only way that the bus driver can have a check, or Metro or MTA, is through the public. And then I think the public behavior was okay, but the driver who was on drugs, public behavior was not okay. Everyone on the bus was going off on the driver.
Thank you.
We do not want bad behavior to continue.
Ma'am, you're straying from the subject matter
thank you very
before
much.
us. Thank you for your comments. This concludes public comment on item number 23. Members wishing to be heard on item 23? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 29, called special, inasmuch as the member of the public wishes to be heard.
Item number 29 now before us. Council calls forward Ms. Sylvia Hawkins.
Good morning again. My name is Ms. Sylvia Aleni Hawkins from District Number 8. Concerning items on number 29, dealing with the computer training service and technology in schools, I believe that we have to be very cautious in the middle of a recession and at war, is dealing with the our school computers, our laptops that is right before us in this council board, the safety of the information going from here to overseas if we bomb someone overseas, if it's safe that what we're reading. My concern is the danger of technology and who is connected behind the computer. Are we sure who is printing out information on this computer? Is it connected to overseas? Is it connected to Nazis? Is it connected to wicked churches that is against America? Is it affecting our eyes? Is it affecting our health? Could they be throwing out witchcraft, all kind of gases through these technology computer equipment?
Thank you, ma'am.
I am very concerned because, as I say, it was revealed unto me through a vision that these things are really dangerous
Okay, thank
to
you
the
for your
health of
comments
our
on this
people
item.
in America.
Thank you very much for your comments
Thank
on
you.
this item. This concludes public comment for item number 29. Members wishing to be heard? Mr. Rudy Thomas?
Mr. President, members of the council, just as a matter of clarification, this is essentially the extension of existing contracts so that the work in this particular aspect of the Information Technology Agency can continue without a hitch. Any comments that may have been uttered otherwise are global in nature and not necessarily applicable to the matter before us. I urge your adoption.
Other members wishing to be heard? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Let's send that forthwith, please. Next item.
Now is time for public comment on non-agenda items.
We have one speaker card, Mr. Larry Green.
Good morning. I hope I can get the attention of all the council members. Good morning, everybody. I went to 2 funerals on Sunday, and one was for Yakov Aminoff and one was for Vicky Hen. And I think that the city council, the city of Los Angeles, should not have to be obsequious to a couple of freaks from the FBI who are going to get on TV and say what is and is not meeting the definition of terrorism. What happened on July 4th when a crazy man went into El Al Airport with 2 guns and a knife and could have killed 100 people but killed 2 people was terrorism. It happened in this city. Your home, my home. And I want everybody out there watching this on TV now and tonight, along with the 15 members of City Council, to think, how would you feel if it was your son or your daughter or your wife or your husband who was killed on July 4th, doing nothing but traveling, leaving LAX? So what can you do? You can do a lot, you and the city council. Oh, you can't bring back Vicky Hen, you can't bring back Yakov and who leaves 8 children and 9th on the way. You can't bring that back. They'll never come back. But what you can do is you can pass a resolution condemning the act of terrorism on July 4th. And that will send a message to the rest of the country that we are not going to accept this kind of behavior. And I will tell you, I don't have to tell you the tears that I shed yesterday at the home of Vicky Hen's parents. I don't have to share that with you. That's a personal thing that Jewish people mourn for 7 days, called sitting Shiva. But I hugged her father last night, and I did see some of you. I know you all were busy. It was July 4th weekend, and you all have different schedules. And I'm not here to embarrass those of you who were not there and to laud some of you who were there. But there were a couple of representatives of city council there. But I do hope that all of you will pass a resolution condemning this act. And it's not because I'm Jewish, and it's not because I'm Larry Green trying to win points or become famous. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. I lived in Israel. Everybody knows how I feel about violence. If you don't like something, that's why we have the horseshoe. That's why we have tables. Some of you don't agree with me politically, but that's why we have tables. We can work things out. But if we don't pass a resolution condemning this act of terrorism, I'm not going to wait for the FBI to tell me. Some freak from the FBI is going to validate whether or not, if an organization is related to Al-Qaeda, that makes it all the more terrorism if some crazy guy goes in there. And I want to tell you something. This would never happen in New York. If this event happened in John F. Kennedy Airport, the people in New York wouldn't stand for it. And the people in this community, particularly the Jewish people, should not stand for it. And they should all call their city council people. Because if the Jewish people don't stick up for the Jews, nobody will. And I'm not here to give anybody a guilt trip. I've gone way beyond my time. I talked to Tom LaBonge this morning. I told him where the Hens live. And I hope that somebody from the city council will pay a condolence call at their home in Chatsworth. I'm going there after this. And it would be appreciated. It wouldn't be anything but appropriate. And it has nothing to do with other than pure humanity and respect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mort Allen.
Contrary to the last speaker, I think the 4th of July was the wake-up call, the most beautiful day in Los Angeles. Dennis Zine had an affair at the Warner Center Park. We thought we were going to get about 6,000, 7,000 people there. We had 25,000 people there. There wasn't one incident. There was nothing. It was the most beautiful affair. We went to both Clear Channel and Infinity, got them both to put up billboards and do radio spots on their stations. It went from 5:30 to 10:30. We had fireworks to music. We had a bunch of the 60s and 70s bands. It was absolutely incredible. The Marriott Hotel hosted a cocktail party prior and after for the VIPs. And I think all over the city, I understand, and I would hope that everybody that had a big event would share it so the people at home know that we're all together with my famous word, unity for purpose. I also have to publicly thank my friend Jack Weiss for quick action. We had the horrible problem in Studio City with an adult shop that was live action, and I hated to have to do it, but I sent a few flyers around City Hall, and in 2 days he had it closed. And so we cleaned up the community, and I got to tell you, I think everybody in the Valley right now is really happy, and I think if everybody stopped using the word secession and used the word, there's a formal word for it. What is it? No, there's a word for it. Reorganization. Use that word instead of secession, because you don't understand that 90% of the people don't even know what's going on. They don't read the papers in the Valley. But anyway, I just want to say that the 4th of July was wonderful, and you really got to, let's play on the positives and not the one unfortunate negative. Thanks.
Thank you. Our final speaker, Theo and Nico Lunopoulos.
We are Nico and Theo Milanopoulos, 15-year-old gun control activists and co-founders of Kids Voice LA.
We are greatly concerned about the recent shooting at LAX. 2 weeks ago, we were nervous about flying into Washington, D.C. National Airport, and we were relieved that we were returning home before the 4th of July at LAX. only later to learn that it was subject to a horrendous violence.
Whether or not the shooting at LAX was a terrorist attack or a random act of violence, the most pertinent issue about the shooting is that 2 Los Angeles residents were shot to death by a legally registered gun.
We know the proposed total ammunition ban will not stop all the gun violence in Los Angeles, but it is an easy, small step that city leaders can take to make ammunition less accessible to the general population.
And we hope that this ordinance will be moving forward as quickly as possible within the next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comments for today's meeting. Mr. Pacheco, did you wish to be recognized?
I was simply going to say, Mr. President and colleagues, that Mr. Zine's affairs in public places should be kept private and to himself.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Mr. Clerk, next item, please.
Not on the agenda is special one. It was a motion brought forward by Councilman Holden, seconded by Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Holden will speak to the need to make findings.
Mr. Holden, on the findings.
Mr. President, members, these brought to my attention, maybe to the attention of other members of the council, this legislation, AB 1497 by Pavley, it was introduced and passed by the legislature. It was sent to the governor. It's now in enrollment. I've been informed there's been some equivocation on the part of the governor as whether or not he'll sign the bill. Also, that the automobile manufacturers are concerned about it as well, and they're going to urge the governor not to sign the bill. So we're in pretty much of a contest there right now. And the governor may be leaning our direction, but we don't know that. There's been opposition in the past as in the future to clean up our air and our water and to make it as clear as possible for future generations. And this bill will address what we know as global warming. Is a factor that air emission policies must be addressed as much fairness and force as possible. So I think there is an urgency, and I think that I hope that we can adopt this measure or vote that it is an urgency, the 10 votes that's required in order for us to address the issue. And I so move, Mr. President.
Okay. Other members wishing to be heard on the findings? On the findings, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Special one now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion itself. Mr. Holden.
President, this is really a golden opportunity for us here in the state of California to set the tone for the nation. It's always been said that the way California goes, the nation will follow. And the other states will look and see what we do here as it relates to global warming. There's been some attempt on the part of the federal legislature to address this issue. But because of the lobbying and the power and the influence of the automobile industry, they had no success. Fortunately, we've been able to get this bill out of the Senate and out of the Assembly and onto the governor. It's something that we should do here because it's a good cause, not just for the state of California, for vehicles that will be sold in the year 2009. But the ARB will have some regulations by the year 2005 saying to the industry what they shall do by 2009 if they're to sell vehicles in the state of California and also reduce photo emission smog in our areas. So, Mr. President, remember, this is a historical opportunity for us, and I'm glad that Mr. Weston, who's the Speaker of the Assembly, Mr. Burton, who's President Pro Tem of the Senate, used their political contacts with each members of their respective House to make sure that this bill passed and is on its way to the governor. As I said, it's in enrollment right now. Hopefully, once you get to the governor's desk, he'll sign it. So I would urge an aye vote.
Mr. Holden, I'm surprised. Mr. Holden, you're urging an aye vote and you haven't asked for a staff presentation on this? You think it's important to have one? Let me
Mr. President,
enjoy the prerogative of
part of that, the staff
calling forward Mr. Karsh.
Fell asleep on that one, and they should have informed your prestigious committee that this bill was before the legislature, and we could have taken action on it sooner.
Well, they might have slept through the alarm, but
nevertheless,
they're
we're
here
better
now.
late than never.
They're here now. Let's hear from Mr. Karsh.
This is Michael Karsh with the Legislative Analyst Office. The bill was passed by both houses of the legislature and sent to enrollment on July 1st. However, it has not yet gone to the governor. Once it gets to his desk, 12 days, 12 calendar days, give him the time to act. So either today or tomorrow it will get to him, and then he has 12 days from then to sign. The word in Sacramento is that he probably will sign it, and that's the latest information that I have.
Mr. Garcetti.
I think this is going to be the most significant piece of state legislation on emissions we've seen in a generation. I think it is important for us to do this, and when good drivers from electric cars to Lincoln Navigators can come together on this, I think it's important we stand together.
Ms. Misikowski.
Just want to rise too in support of this. I think many of us read the coverage over the weekend, and thank Councilmember Holden for bringing it in so that we can add the weight and support of the city of Los Angeles. I think which would be significant. Goodness gracious, if we did any kind of poll on the number of people who drive SUVs in this city, it would be very, very high. So I think to lend our support for this bill is tremendous, and I agree it's going to be hopefully a landmark piece of legislation, and others throughout the country will follow. So I ask for unanimous vote.
Are the members wishing to be recognized? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please.
Mr. President, also not on the agenda is special item number 2. Findings are going to be addressed by the city attorney.
Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Pasadena Blue Line Construction Authority is managing the construction of the Pasadena Gold Light Rail project. And there are some street closures that need to happen before Friday. The Board of Public Works is meeting on Friday, and therefore the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda, and that there's an immediate need to act. And then you will vote on, if you make the findings, closures of Marmion Way, one of which would be early Friday morning, so that the work can continue.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Members wishing to be heard on the findings? Mr. Reyes?
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I just rise to encourage your support on this project. As you know, it's one of basically the only state-funded project that's light rail in nature, and we want to stay within our budget, within our time frames. It is a design-build project, and we are working with the city staff. They've encouraged that we move forward, and we need your support to stay within our time frames and budget. Thank you.
Other members wishing to be heard on the findings? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Special 2 now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion itself? Mr. Reyes.
Again, I just stand to reiterate my previous request. Encourage your support. Thanks.
Other members wishing to be recognized? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on Special 2. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
Motions for posting and refer.
Motions are posted and referred.
Council members' request from attendance and council. Councilmember Padilla requests to be excused July 10th to leave at 1 p.m. for city business. This meets policy.
Thank you very much.
And Councilman Ridley Thomas requests to be excused on July 17th to leave at noon for city business. This also meets policy.
Mr. Ridley Thomas is excused.
And Councilmember Ridley Thomas requests to be excused on July 24th for city business. A motion is required.
Mr. Reyes moves. Mr. Ridley Thomas is excused.
The desk is clear.
Are there any announcements? Members, any announcements? The only announcement I have is let's welcome back our colleague, Councilwoman Janice Hahn. Welcome home. We missed you. The new look. Other announcements, members? Seeing none, please rise for adjourning motions. Members of the public, please rise. Members of the council, members of the public, as has been said earlier in the meeting, we did enjoy, for the most part, a very festive weekend, holiday weekend, celebrating the 4th of July, and I'm sure there was plenty of barbecues and family gatherings around the city, around the country, and around many communities. But I do have three requests to adjourn in memory of some of the tragic deaths that took place over the weekend. The first two are to adjourn in memory of Jacob Aminoff and Victoria Hen, the two victims of the shooting at LAX, and those will be all members. As many of us have heard in the news or read in the newspaper, Victoria Hen, 25 of Chatsworth, was the first victim of the heavily armed gunman who sought to kill at Los Angeles International Airport. She was born in Israel and was killed on the day that she was to be engaged to be married. After having worked just 2 months for El Al Airlines, welcoming passengers with a cheery smile, she was the first victim, and just reading from a statement on behalf of her parents and her family, they described her as a true angel with a warm smile and a desire to serve others. She loved her job and will be sorely missed. The second victim of that attack, Mr. Jacob Aminoff, also known as Yaakov of North Hollywood, also born in Israel and a father of 8, died of the violence. His friends described Aminoff as honest, spiritual, and soft-spoken. He was a founding member of the Yad Abraham Orthodox Jewish Synagogue in North Hollywood, known to be very, very generous and a true friend to those around him. Members, the country and the sport of baseball also lost one of its heroes over the weekend. The legend Ted Williams, Hall of Fame baseball player whose primary motivation in life was to be recognized as the greatest hitter who ever lived, died Friday of heart failure at the age of 83. He certainly accomplished his goal of being the greatest hitter that ever lived. He was the last major leaguer to bat 400 in a season, also known as the Kid, the Splendid Splinter, and Teddy Ballgame. He would have been a 700 home run hitter would it not have been for the 2 stints he took away from baseball to serve his country as a Marine pilot during World War II and the Korean War. Born originally in San Diego, he had a tremendous career in the sport of baseball and leaves behind not only a family but a true legacy and a spirit and love of the game. In recognition of the All-Star game being tonight, I think it's appropriate that we recognize him today. Mr. Burnson.
Yes, first I just want to add on Ted Williams. He lost 5 seasons, 5 seasons serving our country, and just imagine what those statistics would have been had he been here. He would have broken every record that exists today and was probably the greatest hitter of all time. He also won the batting title at the age of 40 the last time, so just gives you a conception. I also want to be a co-author on the 2 that were killed at the airport. I believe one of them lives between our districts in Mission Hills, and the other lived in Chatsworth. And I think that it's a sad situation that people are no longer safe going about their daily work or whatever the case may be. And it just tells us that we, as a society, have to rethink the way we do our lives, which is sad, but we're going to have to do it because other people in other parts of the world are doing it. I'd like to also adjourn in memory of Matt Dennis, who was a songwriter and entertainer who appeared around Los Angeles many years ago and passed away recently. Wrote a number of standards, such as Angel Eyes and quite a few others. And I remember attending places where he played in the Valley on Ventura Boulevard and enjoyed him very much through the years, but that was a long time ago. Also, Ralph Gilbraith, father-in-law supervisor Don Kanabe, passed away. He was survived by his daughter, Julie Kanabe, and son-in-law Don, and son Robbie and daughter-in-law Leslie, grandsons Kurt and Matt Kanabe and their wives Svi and Wendy, granddaughter Catherine Kanabe, and brother Mac Gilbreth. He was a resident of Long Beach for nearly 80 years, graduated from Long Beach Poly, and the father-in-law of our supervisor, and I'd ask that we adjourn his memory.
Mr. Garcetti.
Just one quick other note about Ted Williams, too. I think of all the statistics that he had, one of the greatest ones was that his last at-bat ever in the major leagues was a home run, and shows you the strength that he had to the very end, and the stuff that he did for kids, as Councilmember Burnson pointed out as well.
Ms. Gruhl.
I'd just like to also sign on and the two individuals who were killed on the 4th of July, and Councilmember Jack Weiss and I attended the services for Mr. Amanoff. He was a resident of my district, and the pain and suffering that his family and that community is going through is quite horrific. And so our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and would like to sign on and adjourning that, and know that we all are working together to make sure that we have a safe city, and one in which appreciates people's different cultures and religions here in Los Angeles.
I too just want to add my thoughts to the two who were brutally murdered on a day where we celebrate our freedom and celebrate our ability to move about and do things like drop a friend off at the airport without fear of being killed. And Larry, you're right. And whether or not they ultimately decide whether or not this murderer was associated with Al-Qaeda, in my opinion, it clearly was a terrorist act, someone that would come into the airport so heavily armed and begin shooting. And it was only because of the El Al security that more people were not gunned down, innocent lives lost on that day. So, and if anything happened, I think for Americans, myself included, I believe we, as some of the family members said, this happens all the time in Israel. And it was so shocking to us to have it happen here, but that is something that people in Israel live with on an hourly basis. So we feel some solidarity, if only briefly, with people who at any moment fear that their lives will be snuffed out.
Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, after September 11th last year, we thought we saw the beginning and hopefully the end of terrorism here in our country with the help of the FBI, CIA, LAPD, and other law enforcement agencies, and the public in general. We made an effort to close up every loophole, plug every hole, and interview just about every individual, and they did that very well, Los Angeles Police Department. This individual did not live within their jurisdiction, and therefore had no idea that there was such a person out there who would commit this terrorist act. It just tells us once again that you never know who you're looking at, because you never know really what they're thinking, and you never know what exactly they're going to do. And it's almost like we almost have to be on guard at all time, keep our eyes open, and of course, those things that are happening in the Middle East now are being propagated around the world and right here in our own community, acts of terror. And all we can do is protect our liberties. Yes, we can't give that up, and our rights, our freedom, but at the same time, we got to secure our airports. It was not by chance that he ended up at that particular airline, could have gone to American, United, or somewhere else, but that's where he wanted to do his dirty work, commit his act of terror, and that's what he did, and that's where he went. I would say it was planned. It was not just an incident that happened. Mr. President, members, I would like to make that unanimous for the entire council, and if I'm permitted to do so, Ted Williams, the thumper, what I liked about him is that he would whoop the Yankees once in a while.
Mr. Labange.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, members of council. I think it is tragic anytime there's violence and anytime and violence upon people. This focus at Los Angeles Airport and that tragedy that took place there is something that is going to be a mark on us as people, but that there's hate in people that causes them to hurt others. And that hate is wherever it is, throughout some parts of our districts, in my district, where people hate. Hate is the thing we must remove from all people to have an understanding for others and to let others live. And it's so sad that someone takes someone to the airport and drop them off for a trip that they're on, taking to Israel. So sad that someone comes to work and then the tragedy to their families, the impact on the families, and the repercussion that goes on and on. I think it's a constant reminder, we, and what Mr. Rodriguez spoke of this morning as our roles as members of council, that we have to serve and to try to be as positive as possible, to shine the light of brightness on people in community, to educate people to do the right thing and to think of others and be responsive for others, which is so important in our roles. I also would like to ask council to adjourn in memory of Ward Kimball, who was a great animator for Walt Disney. He was one of the original animators. He got his job in 1934. In his interview, it was said that, well, we may want you to come back. And he said, no, you got to tell me right now I don't have enough gas money to come back. And there he got hired on Hyperion Avenue at Walt Disney's first studio and was so creative over the years. And that a gang of old, I think 9 that they had there that were the special animators that was so much part of life. And to realize this animation was done by hand. And Ward Kimball was also a great member of the community as far as the Historical Society of Southern California and of railroading. He was a friend of Griffith Park, a friend of the live steamers. He had his own train in back of his yard in San Gabriel Valley, and he will truly be missed, but he lived a full life to be 88, whereas the victims of violence lost their life in their early 20s and in the 40s, a father of 8. So we don't know when our time comes, but we want to make sure to prevent time from coming till we learn to love each other and understand each other, and to prevent violence that takes people long before their time, like it did on the 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lavange. Other members? Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I, too, wanted to add a word about Yakov Aminov. For those of us who might feel disengaged from what happened, and from those who might be listening or watching Channel 35, this was a man who led a full life, and not only was he a resident of the San Fernando Valley, but he was a stakeholder in downtown Los Angeles, in that he owned a jewelry distribution company. So, you know, our lives have changed forever, and not only by September 11th, but subsequent acts that violence touches us on a daily basis. And in an act of what I would categorize as domestic terrorism, I'm sad to say that a resident of the 9th Council District was viciously murdered on June 28th while riding in the car with her 7-year-old son. Her name was Dina Nicole Melvin, and she was shot to death in front of her son. Her funeral is today. She will be remembered by her friends and family for her energy and her strong spirit. And she often bragged that she had accomplished much in her life, but she felt her greatest accomplishment was having and raising her son, Kevin. She's survived by her son, Kevin, and her aunt, Debbie Toka.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I was present on Sunday morning with our colleague, Ms. Gruhl, and with our mayor, Mayor Hahn, at the Aminov funeral, or the Aminov memorial service, I should say, in the North Hollywood Valley Village area. And I just wanted to share with you, I was struck by many things that day, but 2 in particular I wanted to share. One, and I'm sure Ms. Gruhl had the same reaction, Mr. Aminov was just so universally described as being such a warm, wonderful, loving, giving person. He was one of the founders of the synagogue. He was clearly someone whom so many in the community would go to for advice, for help. He was always there to reach his hand out to others in that community, and that community will do its best to rally on behalf of his many children. They need our help as well, and the Los Angeles Times yesterday published in the newspaper the addresses for the Aminov family account or fund to help the children with their education if anyone watching this broadcast wants further information, they can call my office at 213-485-5013, and I'll give them the address if they want to send contributions. The other thing I was struck by was how so many people who addressed the crowd that day, they said, he just drove a friend to the airport. I mean, that's all he did. And yes, he was Israeli, but he could have been any of us in Los Angeles, just driving a friend to the airport that day. And I have been struck by this rather odd debate that has occurred in the city over what to call this act. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this was a suicide shooter. Just as surely as there are suicide bombers, this was a suicide shooter. And had he come even close to succeeding in what he clearly set out to do, there would be no debate over what to call his act. But regardless of what you call it, I know that all of us here take seriously our responsibility, our new responsibility to make certain that this city is made safe in this new horrible environment that we must live in. And so I join all of you in extending our condolences to the Hind family and the Aminoff family.
Mr. Zine.
I too join my colleagues in solidarity and condolences to the families. My son, a young new police officer, was the second LAPD unit to arrive at the scene and described what he saw, what he experienced as a young officer. And we need to remember public safety, and that September 11th, while that date's behind us, it seems that these tragedies continue. As we know, they happen in Israel daily. And as we see the focus of this coming to our wonderful land of freedom, democracy, where we can choose the religion of choice, where we can choose the way of life without any government interference, and to suffer these types of tragedies, people need to be vigilant. We need to support our law enforcement officers, federal, state, and local, as they move forward to protect us. But when he called me at 12:30 that evening after working extended hours on this and described the scene and described the chaotic condition and what they were trying to do to prevent any further tragedies from occurring, because that was a concern that there may be more tragedies occurring at LAX. And this is terrorism. There's no doubt. This was not indiscriminate. The individual was armed, and he had a specific purpose, and he had a specific target. And that is truly terrorism. We cannot tolerate that in our country, in our society, in our city. And I just pledge my support, and I know that my colleagues will pledge their support to provide our law enforcement officers with the tools they need so we can remain safe as we travel. This was before the screening area. This was at the counter, which is open to public access. And at the point where we lock down the airport, it's always that concern about boarding the plane, as we saw in this particular tragedy. It occurred at the ticket counter where anyone can venture into. So we just need to be vigilant of this and clearly call it what it is. It's terrorism here in the city of Los Angeles. And may both rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. All members, in the same expression as we're certainly sending our thoughts and prayers to the families of the victims, I do want to take a moment to commend the Los Angeles Police Department and the airport personnel for their quick response and handling of the situation. Mr. Holden.
Fire department, 2 and the airport police.
Mr. Holden.
Mr. President and members, I was absent, but I'd like to have my name recorded as an aye vote for item 19. That would not change the outcome of the vote. You're shaking your head.
Okay.
Pardon?
Oh, we'll arrange that with the clerk, Mr. Holden. We'll take care of that. Members, any other announcements? Other adjourning motions? Then before adjourning, we want to wish the representatives from the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball organization who are playing in tonight's All-Star game the very best, as they represent not only the organization, but the entire city of Los Angeles. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned. Aye.